Hey everybody, this is Doa with another StarCast 2 broadcast for you, brought to you by Doa and the Rush Network, who I am happy to work with. In this corner on Blistering Sands, we have MadFrog, a great European StarCraft 2 player, formerly a well-known Warcraft 3 player as far as I know, and his opponent will be Mao's MorroW, also a European player, I believe from Sweden, spawning in the upper right corner on Blistering Sands. So we'll have a ZvZ today on Blistering Sands. I just got this replay off of GoSuGamers.net. I'm sure it's probably on other sites. I think I saw MorroW advertising for some site at the beginning, but I didn't really catch it. So yeah, you can probably find it there too if you go back and look at what website that was. But anyway, ZvZ on Blistering Sands, both players sending out their overlords right now, and we're going to have to see what they have planned for each other. Now, Blistering Sands is of course a map that favors Zerg, and since both players are Zerg, this of course is not going to come into play quite as much, as they will both have the exact same favorability, I guess. But yeah, in the meantime, both players just kind of getting some minerals at this point. We don't really know what they're going to do yet. Looks like we do have a gas going down first for MadFrog, so that's a little bit interesting. Gas before anything else. So usually when you see that, that actually suggests banelings in my experience. I could be completely wrong, but that's what I've noticed in the past. And actually, MorroW going with gas first as well. So that's a little bit odd. Both players starting with gas first, a little bit non-standard. There's the pool going down for MorroW. Let me turn on the production tab there. And we do also have the pool going down for MadFrog as well. So both players with more or less identical openings right now. If you look at that production tab, the spawning pools are going at about the same rate. So both players are going to be able to get the pools up at the same time, and we'll have to see if they're planning on doing some sort of one-base play, or if they're planning on expanding. Doesn't look at this point, well, I suppose, I mean, they really have nothing else to do but save up minerals. And yeah, so we'll have to see if they turn those into another building, or if they decide to turn those into a hatchery. So yeah, well, I'm really curious what's going to happen now, because this is a non-standard opening from my recent experience anyway on the ladders and watching tournament games. And yeah, so it doesn't look like either player is really thinking of expanding yet at this point. And MorroW bringing out some Zerglings right away, Queen as well, both of them getting 4 Zerglings and Zergling speed, so both players also starting out identical. And with both players going Zergling speed, I'd say there's a very, very good chance we're going to see a Baneling nest going down pretty soon for both players. And there it is. There's a Baneling nest for MorroW, and wow, MadFrog puts down his at the exact same time. I mean, yeah, if you look at the production tab, they're basically equal. So wow, talk about a mirror match, jeez. Anyway, Zerglings moving across the map for both players. They're actually going to meet right here in the middle, and we're going to see if there's any action. Looks like MadFrog pulling back a little bit. And let's see, actually no, MorroW pulling back a little bit, whoops. And so yeah, right now the Zerglings just kind of getting positioning across the map. Nobody really wants to commit to any sort of damage quite yet. Looks like MadFrog thinking he can possibly pick off some Zerglings for MorroW, but MorroW ending up having the larger number there. So right now it looks like, let's see, MadFrog is still producing more Zerglings than MorroW is. Speed almost finishing for both players now. It's going to get done at about the same time. In the meantime, I hear some Banelings morphing. There's one right there. Looks like one Zergling. I thought it got picked off, but no, I was just seeing that Overlord there. Never mind. So Banelings coming in for both players. 2 for MorroW and 1 for MadFrog. So yeah, I guess it's just going to be a good old-fashioned Baneling micro battle here on Blistering Sands. And yeah, both players getting some positioning here. Baneling going around the 2 Banelings for MorroW. So MadFrog taking up this Baneling position, and MorroW doing a great job sacrificing 1 Zergling to take out the Banelings. In the meantime, walking his own Banelings right past the Zerglings of MadFrog, losing 1 Baneling there to that. This is going to be a lot of action to keep up with, I think, guys. This Baneling's still on the way, but I think it's going to get taken out by the Zergling, so that's not going to be a problem. In the meantime, we do have some more Banelings coming in for MadFrog. And MorroW bringing across some more Banelings for himself as well. I'm actually going to turn on the unit tab just so I can keep track of how many Banelings they each have. Looks like at this point MorroW has the majority of Banelings. He has 8, whereas MadFrog is going to have 7, I believe, after those finish. So Baneling on Baneling action, a little bit of a Baneling crossover there going on. Banelings blowing up Banelings, and this game is already a little bit out of control here. Wow. So there you go, 2 Banelings taking out 2 Banelings. As you can see, those 2 that just blew up were already damaged by 1 previously. I'm really trying to keep an eye on the minimap to make sure I don't miss anything. More Banelings blowing up Zerglings here. just to keep in mind, MadFrog is the red, MorroW is the blue. It's going to get a little bit confusing as things go on, I think. And MadFrog almost taking out a good amount of Zerglings from MorroW, but MorroW pulling back just in time. So right now, most of the action outside of MadFrog's base, MorroW getting the positioning advantage definitely on this. Although MorroW did lose a few Zerglings there, a little bit of Zergling on Zergling action. The Banelings for MorroW coming in, able to push back MadFrog a little bit. So MorroW getting some decent positioning here on Blistering Sands. Not sure if he's going to use that to put up an expansion or if he's just going to try to go for the kill. Meantime, yet more Banelings coming in. Let's go back to that production tab for just a moment here. And yeah, just still Banelings and Speedlings being produced by both players. So both players not really looking like they're interested in doing any sort of teching or expanding or anything. Just doing some Baneling micro. And this was listed as a public game, so I believe this was just a meetup on the ladder. I don't know if they were maybe practicing as well. That's also a possibility. But yeah, wow, there's a lot going on. MorroW trying to take out a few of these Banelings of MadFrog. Great macro by, or micro rather, by MorroW, using one Zergling per Baneling. He is going to get these two as well. Oh, accidentally losing both of those Zerglings to that one Baneling though, so a little bit of a misstep there by MorroW. In the meantime, more Banelings blowing up, and MorroW is still more or less pushing MadFrog around the map, but when these Banelings finish, that may be changing here. Looks like the Banelings do come out for MadFrog, so that's going to be able to push MorroW back a little bit. MorroW doing a good job not losing those Zerglings to those Banelings, trying to poke away at this Baneling, but it is going to go down from the Zerglings of MadFrog. Meantime, MadFrog chasing MorroW's Zerglings across the map, and MadFrog right now has the Baneling, so MorroW has to pull back. He does not want to lose any Banelings or any Zerglings at this point. And looks like MadFrog maybe a little bit surprised that his opponent hasn't expanded quite yet, but in this match, every Zergling, every Baneling really, really matters. MadFrog now able to move into the base of MorroW with this single Baneling. We're going to see if he causes any sort of damage at all. He is going to move into the mineral line. That Queen may be able to take it out, but no, looks like MorroW doesn't notice, and MadFrog, wow, not even taking out a single drone. So wow, I'm a little bit surprised there. But in the meantime, it looks like MorroW is stacking some Zerglings to the Banelings. And so right now, MorroW a little bit on the defensive, as you can see from the production tab. Both players still just producing Zerglings at this point. So this Zergling-Baneling match still continues. This is a ZvZ, unlike many that we've seen in recent history. I'm sure many of you remember back in the day that this was really all ZvZ was just Baneling micro battles. But that's kind of fallen out of favor in recent months. It seems like every mirror matchup has that one sort of matchup that gets really popular for a while, with Terran, of course, Tank, Viking with Protoss. It's the good old-fashioned Stalker Colossus with the whole War of the Worlds things going on. And Zergling had their Zergling Baneling. And over time, people will kind of develop around those strategies and sort of think of ways to beat them. And things will kind of evolve. I guess TVT would be the best example of how that mirror matchup has evolved beyond just the stereotypical Tank Viking. Don't see it quite as much anymore. In the meantime, MadFrog morphing in some Banelings in his base here. And MorroW bringing in some Zerglings on those Queens, but it's not going to be able to cause any damage. Lots of Banelings coming in for MorroW here. Those Queens are going to poke away at the Banelings, going to be able to take that out. So we've got Banelings chasing Banelings here even, and they all pretty much take each other out. So in the meantime, MorroW still with the superior Baneling numbers. Let's take a look at the army tab real quick here. Looks like MorroW is in the lead just a little bit, 32 over 26, but that could change very rapidly, as when a Baneling is gone, it's gone. Once it does its damage, it is done with. So MorroW still doing an excellent job with those Zerglings, taking out individual Banelings, protecting his own as well. Let's go back to the unit tab just to see what people has. It looks like MorroW still having the Baneling advantage. So MorroW able to swing things back into his favor anyway at the moment. Let's take a look at that income tab too. Both players dead even, just stopping at 14 harvesters. Really, any drone you make is 2 Zerglings that you will not have. So in this type of a game, you really kind of have to give up on the economy at some point, especially because both players are going so heavy. And wow, able to take out all those morphing Banelings. That is huge. And MorroW right now looking very commanding. Let's go back to the production tab again. More Banelings coming in for MorroW. No Zerglings on the way. I take it back. 2 just starting right now. In the meantime, Overlord's just getting buddy here, staying warm in the cool winds of Blistering Sands. Although, I don't know, I suppose it's probably not a very cold map per se, but I don't know, maybe it's like a cold desert. They have those. Anyway, MorroW warping in. More Banelings here. MadFrog pulling back, getting a lot of Speedlings and a Spine Crawler as well. So MadFrog, rather, definitely on the defensive here, trying to catch these Banelings as they march into his base. These Queens are armored, of course, so they are well protected against those banelings. But there's so many banelings coming in for MorroW. Is he going to be able to cause some damage? He goes into the middle line. MadFrog has to pull his drones away, and MorroW splitting up the banelings to try to chase after. So MorroW able to take out a lot of speedlings, a ton of speedlings actually dying for MadFrog. MorroW able to do a great job with those banelings in the meantime. MorroW also camped outside the base of MadFrog with yet more zerglings, producing more right now. So losing all his banelings at the moment, but doing a great job of taking out a lot of units for MadFrog. Maybe not too many drones, but taking out a lot of those zergling numbers. Let's go back to that army tab again. So MorroW still a little bit ahead, so not much really has changed. But if we go to the unit tab, it looks like, yeah, MorroW slightly ahead in the drone count, 14 to 12 now. And this is probably one of the longest zergling baneling matches that I've ever seen. MadFrog doing an excellent job blocking his ramps completely with those 2 queens. That's going to kind of thwart the efforts of MorroW for a little bit here. Let's go back to the production tab, and that spine crawler as well is going to help out. But MadFrog is going to need to move those at some point to let his units through. So MorroW, of course, what does he do? Right away, he starts to work on the rocks for MadFrog. And this is really going to be where the big liability is for MadFrog as well. Because once those rocks go down, he's going to have some serious trouble. In the meantime, some banelings blowing each other up there. 2 for 2. And so MorroW still working on the rocks, being pushed back a little bit. Looks like this is the time he has chosen to attack as those queens move down for just a second. But MadFrog does get them back into position.